Hello, everyone. It's Francis Widdowson here. This is the third video of a four-part series on what needs to happen for Canadian democracy to be restored. And I've already done videos on the need for honesty in our universities. Second one, the need for transparency from our government. The third issue is accountability from what's called the official opposition. And the official opposition federally is the Conservative Party of Canada. So in order for things to work properly in a Westminster system, a British parliamentary system, you need to have an effective opposition. And that has not been happening with respect to the false claim that was made by the Kamloops Indian Band that the remains of 215 children have been found. So in terms of this issue of accountability, I have created a post on the wokeacademy.info site called number 3, Accountability, Pierre, Poilievre, Gunn, and the Conservative Party. And I provided a link in the description so that you can just go and take a look at these documents. I don't want to go into them in any detail because it just kind of takes away from the main message, which is our system is not working properly. We need to have the different elements restored. It's possible, it's too far gone to really make it so that it's going to function, but we need to fight hard and fight now if we have any hope of doing anything about this. And so what I provided on this post is a House of Commons sitting calendar for 2026. Shows you when the days that the House will be sitting are. And in January, it's going to be between the 26th and the 29th. And as I talked about in the last video, the Blacklock's reporter documents are going to be obtained at the end of February. So it would be a good idea for the Conservative Party of Canada to start thinking about the questions that it could ask about this matter. And I provided a sample question on the wokeacademy.info site. And it states, this question is for the Crown Indigenous Relations Minister, Rebecca Alty. Minister, in May 2021, the Tecumseh First Nation of Kamloops, BC, that's the Kamloops Indian Band, announced that the remains of 215 children have been confirmed at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School, but then it stated in July 2021 that excavations were needed to determine the existence of graves. In January 2025, Blacklock's reporter acquired documents showing that $12.1 million of public funds have been allocated to this Aboriginal group for the exhumation of remains and forensic DNA testing, yet no excavations have been done. Could the minister please tell this House why no excavations have occurred, even though millions of dollars were allocated for this purpose? So that's a kind of a question that Pierre, Poilievre, Gunn, or another member of the Conservatives could ask, or any other political party, to hold the government to account. This post also notes that such questions have not been forthcoming, and that raises the question of why. And I have a clip from Erin O'Toole, who is the leader of the Conservative Party in March, the Kamloops Indian Band announcement, which was May 2021. And he said in his statement on May 31st, 2021, that a mass grave had been discovered. And that hasn't been retracted by any member of the Conservative Party. So people who were watching that at that time, who don't really know that this is now in dispute, would be perhaps following along with Erin O'Toole's lead. And Pierre, I know that Erin O'Toole is no longer the leader. It's Pierre Poilievre now. But Pierre Poilievre on June 4th, 2021, he made a statement in the House of Commons talking about the discovery of a mass grave at the former residential school in Kamloops and how this shocked the entire nation. Pierre Poilievre, you need to stand up and say how you were misled into believing this so that Canadians can understand the deception that has been perpetrated for the last 4.5 years. But Poilievre has not been very active on this file, and this resulted Drea Humphrey on January 23rd, 2024, to ask Poilievre a question about the attacks on churches and how they were linked to the false claim of 215 children being found, and that, what about, excavations being done, these kinds of questions. And I have the clip from Poilievre's answer that you can watch. He spends most of his time castigating the Trudeau government for not dealing with people burning down or vandalizing churches or other religious places of worship. Well, that's not really the issue here. What about this false claim that resulted in these churches being vandalized in the way that they were? So it's a very disappointing answer that Poilievre gave, and it shows a little bit how the Conservatives are not really acting as the official opposition on this issue. And Poilievre hasn't really said very much about the residential schools at all, except to defend Aaron Gunn as a candidate. They wanted him to be removed, the various woke elements, and Poilievre stood firm. And the reason why many people are opposed to Aaron Gunn is because in some posts over from 2019 to 2021, Gunn said that the residential school system did not constitute genocide and that the schools were much maligned. And this was seen as being unacceptable, even though whether or not the residential schools were genocidal is a seriously contentious topic. And Gunn, in fact, stands as different from other members of the Conservative Party who, in 2022, voted unanimously to support Leah Gazan's motion to support that what happened in Canada's Indian residential schools was a genocide. So all those politicians, Conservatives, it was unanimously supported, this motion. If they do not believe this, the time is now to make some kind of declaration that it was a misunderstanding that led them to say this. They've changed their position. There is no shame in admitting that one has made a mistake. The shame is allowing this deception to continue without any kind of correction. So now that we have the Blacklock's reporters' documents about the $12.1 million being allocated to the Kamloops Indian Band to undertake excavations, and the fact that Poilievre, when he was being asked the question by Drea Humphrey, said that investigations should be done to determine whether there are graves, shouldn't the Conservative Party of Canada be asking questions in question period about what the government is doing about the public funds, the $12.1 million of public funds that were spent on excavations that haven't been done? So if you want to look at the documents, go to the wokeacademy.info site. It's incredibly important now to hold the government to account. We are coming up on the 5th anniversary of the false claim. If we can't have the truth about Kamloops by May 2026, we're not going to be able to have the truth about anything. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day.